What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is NCIS Season 15, Episode 9, Ready or Not. So this is kind of like the mid-season finale-ish. I don't know. NCIS's schedule is pretty weird, as is, honestly, most of the CBS shows' schedules. But yeah, they typically have sort of this run in the first half of the season. They take a break, they have like one or two episodes during the holidays, and then it picks back up in about mid-January, something like that. You know, it's not the same every year, but it's typically something along those lines. So this is the last episode for a couple weeks. Next episode is until December 12th, so... But yeah, let's talk about this episode because, it was, on the face of it, a pretty interesting episode. You've got McGee and Delilah are about to have their twins. You've got a former friend of Sloane's gets killed by this guy who's kind of a terrorist, but mainly just a bad dude. And they end up sort of, those two worlds collide. The guy that they're trying to track down ends up at the hospital where Delilah's having the twins. And so, yeah, it seems like it'd be a setup for a pretty intense episode, but they never really went all out with it. It never really felt like it truly got my intensity going. I never once felt like anybody was in any danger. It just, like the guy, he was threatened so many times. Sloane was talking about if he feels outgunned, he's going to start shooting. I never felt that. I never felt like this guy was a loose cannon ready to start shooting anybody. I'm just kind of like, oh, so this is a mild distraction until we get back to Delilah having the kids. And in a show called NCIS, which is supposed to be about these people solving crimes based around the Navy, in a show about that, it doesn't feel like the most important thing should be Delilah having kids. Don't get me wrong. As I've said before, I love McGee and Delilah. I think they're a great couple. I think it works really well for the show. But that should not be the most important thing in this episode. The important thing should be making sure McGee gets back safe to Delilah in this whole situation debacle that he finds himself in. But I never felt that intensity. I never felt like that was more important because the show didn't do a good job of making me feel that intensity. I saw this episode as a distraction while Delilah's having kids. That's all I saw this episode as. So I'm a little disappointed that they didn't really get the adrenaline pumping, get me feeling like, oh, there's danger here. I never really felt that, and that is the biggest disappointment with this episode, is that they didn't really hit that point. They didn't hit that moment for me. On top of that, the quote-unquote twist of this episode didn't really hit home with me either. Torres and Reeves are out and about, trying to track down this supposed bomb-making thing going on that this guy's got going on, while everybody else is at the hospital, trying to help McGee and catch the bad guy at the same time. So they check, they get the crime scene video, and so Torres is showing it on his phone, and you see the guy get into the passenger seat of a van, and so that's when they're like, oh, there was another person, there's a driver. And it turns out to be the woman that he pretended to take hostage in the hospital. I mean, honestly, at that point, it's just kind of like, that's the only person it could be. If it turned out to be Morgan, the cop that he shot, that would have been interesting. But no, it's just, there are some people in this room. There's one that stayed there, even though she's not even technically a hostage anymore. I wonder why. As soon as Gibbs grabs it was a crutch to try to go attack him, she shows up with a gun. She's like, I wouldn't if I were you. No explanation why she's there. No explanation of, apparently she's just there helping him, I suppose. He treats her like garbage. Apparently he treats all women like garbage, which is just another reason to hate him more. But yeah, just, she just randomly shows up because things need to get a little bit more complicated. It would have been too easy if there were just three of them and distraction, that's it. So, I don't know. Like I said, I'm really disappointed that there wasn't more intensity in this episode. There should have been. This was a great setup, and they never really went for it. They never really went all out trying to just go for it. Take some chances. Get risky. They never went for that. And I'm so disappointed that they didn't. So, that's honestly about it as far as the case is concerned, They go through a few things. Gibbs is trying to get a doctor in there to get the bullet out of his leg. because he's saying, get the bullet out of my leg, and then we'll talk about how I'm going to get out of here and stuff like that. They can't find any doctors, though, so Sloane dresses up like a doctor and goes in there to take the bullet out of his leg, which, of course, she really enjoys because he killed the guy that she was they were kind of like an on and off thing, according to her. So she's torn up about it, and so whenever she's taking the bullet out of his leg, you can tell she's really enjoying it. And then at the end of it all, like, Torres and Reeves call to tell Gibbs, hey, the bomb is disabled, we got it covered. And then Gibbs is like, we don't need you anymore. And then Sloane, she sticks her finger into the bullet wound and then knocks the gun away and punches him. And I'm just like, okay, so you took him out, but he's still got a partner. But she's just sitting there going, what was his name? I can't remember his name now. I got to look it up. Because if I don't, I'm going to hate myself for not remembering his name. I already kind of hate myself for not remembering his name. Andre Yorka. So Sloane sticks her finger into the bullet hole, knocks the gun away, punches him, and the girl with the gun to Gibbs's back just goes, Andre! As Gibbs just turns around, knocks the gun out of her hand, and punches her in the face. I'm just... Good job being the backup, Like, what is that? If I were working with somebody and I were there as backup, supposed to be unassuming, but if things turn south, I'm there to sort of help them out. If I'm sitting there gun to the back of some guy and I see my partner, gun gets knocked away, gets punched in the face, I'd shoot the guy in front of me and then point it at the person punching, the guy. Because why else are you there? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. It's just, this episode just has problems. And I'm not used to that with NCIS. Most of the time, it's not great. NCIS has never been one of those shows that just like, oh, it breaks boundaries. It's doing all these crazy things. It's been a good, enjoyable show. With a few, there are a few episodes every now and then that just kind of, they leave that little impression under your skin. You're just like, I don't know how I feel about that episode. This is one of those episodes, because it's that you didn't take the chance that you had, with this whole setup, and then there are just certain problems with it. It just doesn't feel right. This guy, he's got a gun. He's already shot the security here at the hotel. He's already shot him in the stomach, and McGee has his gun to him, and he's just not doing anything. He's not shooting anybody. He's just threatening throughout the entire episode. He never actually does anything with the gun. And then his partner, who's supposed to be there as backup, she just sits there and watches him get punched in the face before she gets punched in the face. And that's it. I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed with this episode overall. It's not a bad episode at all. It's just because the potential for the episode was so great, that's why I'm disappointed with it, because it was just sort of with some problems. I guess the other side to talk about is, of course, Delilah having the kids. It was a nice moment getting to see McGee become a dad. He sort of takes a little bit of inspiration from the security guy, Morgan, because, he was there to help him. I will say that guy was just there to sort of cause problems. There was no other reason for him to be there other than, hey, we need somebody to go be an idiot and set this guy off that has a gun. And so McGee's just like, hey, keep an eye on him. And he just takes that to mean, oh, it's time to be a hero. And goes up to him. He's like, hang on. We've got you covered. And pulls out or I think he pulls out his gun. I don't remember. But he pretty much just threatens the guy. And the guy just like pulls out his little wrist gun or whatever it is and shoots him in the stomach. I'm just like, you're an idiot. You just set a guy off that McGee told you to go watch, not antagonize. So yeah, he sets the whole thing off. Like I said, he gets shot in the stomach. They managed to get him out of the room, but not in time. He's lost a lot of blood, so he dies on the gurney in front of McGee. And so McGee has, they've already named the boy John after his father, but then he wants to name the girl Morgan after this guy. So, whenever she grows up, it's like, Mommy, Daddy, why did you name me Morgan? Well, let me tell you about this time. It was the day of your birth. I was in the hospital with your mom. I went to go get her grape soda, and then all of a sudden a terrorist walked in. And then the security guard, his name was Morgan, he went to go stop him, even though I told him just to watch. He actually tried to stop him, and then he got shot in the stomach and died. So, because I respected the fact that he tried to help me out, even though he actually put me in more danger by telling the guy I had twins on the way, I thought I'd name you after that guy. The guy that put my life in danger and the life of your mom in danger. I'm like, we need to name my daughter after that guy. Really think about that for a second. Just think about that. This guy, yes, it's sad that he died. Yes, McGee sort of formed a connection with him, fellow law officer and all that. He gave a nice little speech to McGee about being a dad. I get that. I understand. But really think about what he did. He went and antagonized the guy with a gun, even though McGee told him to just go watch him. He tells the guy that McGee has twins on the way, making him a more valuable hostage now. He just did everything wrong in this episode. And McGee's just like, yeah, let's name our daughter after that guy. It's kind of funny, but at the same time, I'm still just like, really? You really were going to do this? So yeah, it's just another little thing about this episode that's kind of niggling up under the skin. I don't know why I went there for some reason. I don't do drugs, don't worry. But yeah, it is past midnight, so now I'm just rambling. So yeah, but that's about all I can think about for this episode. There's really nothing else. Sloane gets a little bit of comeuppance at the end. She gets to knock the guy in the face a few times. Palmer and Ducky were in the episode for like maybe 2 minutes. Yeah, kind of random and didn't appear for the rest of the episode. And then Torres and Reeves, they managed to shut down the bomb in like a. They're sitting there talking about how in the movies they cut this wire. It's like this is not a movie, and yet they're just sitting there and going, "Hey, I know, let's cut both." Even though we don't know, let's just cut both and then run for it. I'm like, okay, you've already evacuated the room. How about just running? I understand there's probably going to be a bit of damage. Why not put the thing in the middle of the room, away from everybody, and then get out of the room? Instead of risking blowing up by cutting some random wire that it's a, 30% chance? You cut the red wire, you cut the yellow wire, you cut them both. 1 out of 3 chance that you might live, and then 2 out of 3 that you might die. And I'm just like, why take the chance? Why not just leave it in there and run, and then let it blow up in the middle of the room? Maybe some collateral damage, maybe some property damage, but better than your life. But no, they take a chance and they get it right because it's a TV show. Oh, but it's not a movie. So, yeah. Again, another little thing about this episode. But anyway, I'm done now. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this episode? Let me know. You can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future NCIS reviews. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.